Godspeed You Black Emperor, Godspeed at State's End. Album review, let's chat about it. Hey guys, what's going on? John here from What's Spinning, here tonight to chat about this new one from Godspeed You Black Emperor, Canadian post-rock legends to some, and probably most, real kingpins in the genre. And it's really not too hard to see why. I mean, the first years of their existence are pretty flawless. I mean, Jesus Christ. Their 1997 debut, F-sharp, A-sharp, Infinity, is one of the most bleakest, grimmest, post-apocalyptic albums I've ever heard. And their follow-up album, Lift Your Skinny Fists Like Antennas to Heaven, is even more epic and one of the most cinematic and intense albums that I've ever heard, with thunderous highs and crushing lows. It is a masterpiece. There's also their sort of comeback album after 10 years of being apart, Hallelujah, Don't Bend, Ascend, an album that I was worried about going into because it kind of just sort of came out of nowhere. However, it is one of the wildest, noisiest, and most intense albums in their discography. A real good one, too. There also has been some sort of average moments in the band's discography. Yankee UXO, honestly, I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world. There's moments here that I like, but it's also really lopsided, and when you put it against the rest of the discography, it obviously stands out for the wrong reasons. Asunder, Sweet and Other Distress also, it had moments that gripped me, but also is just not nearly as epic and thunderous and well thought out as some of their great albums. Luciferian Towers is genuinely one of the most unmoving pieces of post-rock that I've ever heard. It did not sway me either way, in the worst way. But here they are. They are back with this new album, Godspeed at State's End. They always just have this way of kind of showing up when we need them the most. Let's chat about this new album. It is broken up into, it's like 8 tracks, but 4 different movements. The first one, A Military Alphabet, it's over 20 minutes long, but that's not a bad thing. If you look at their discography, they are known to go well over the 20-minute mark. In the first movement, Five Eyes All Blinded, certainly one of the album's most desolate moments. It gives you that apocalyptic feeling for sure. But I do have to say, it's not exactly the intro that I wanted to hear. I don't know, it's just not feeling it. Like, eventually, it does lead to something pretty epic. When that wailing guitar comes in, I do get a little chills. I do get some goosebumps. But it's Job's Lament that really draws me in. This portion is phenomenal. Everything from the murky atmosphere that's kind of oddly hopeful to the very patient, strumming guitar that brings a grittiness to it. This is really cool, but very tense. The progression here, the feeling, the tension, everything about this track just seems to be in its right place, especially, with how they were sounding on their last 2 albums. First of the Last Glaciers is pretty great as well. I just love how grandiose and bulky this comes off. Each crashing riff just sounds like a wave crashing into something. It's so intense and bulky. It just feels like a statement. It feels like a statement like they used to put out in their albums. It feels like a Godspeed You Black Emperor track. The strings, the horns here, everything just seems so burned out. And the final epilogue sort of track here that we get in this movement, Rockets for Mary, I mean, it's okay. It's fine. It's certainly a very, once again, very crushing, very final notish in the Godspeed You Black Emperor discography. It sounds like it's something that you would have heard on their earlier albums, but I don't know. Just the way it's presented, it's not nearly as intense as I figured. It's also on the more minimal side, just not my cup of tea. Fire at Static Valley, on the other hand, is great, and it's grown on me so much. Here we get the desolate, sort of post-apocalyptic wasteland feel of their early recordings, but we also get the noisier, dronier sides of their music as well. In Godspeed's own weird way, this is so epic and gigantic. It's not overly gaudy, it's not flashy or triumphant, but it's cinematic as hell. It is unbearably grim, and once again, a real statement. Let me tell you, that one lone bagpipe in the background, that gives me the goosebumps just thinking about it. Then we have our next movement, starting off with Government Came. And I'm going to be honest, it's one of the more hard to pinpoint moments here. As a matter of fact, the Government Came portion of this movement Probably my least favorite track here. Compared to other tracks here, this one just sounds almost like deconstructed and freeform. It's odd. I mean, at first I kind of thought it was exciting, but hearing it now, it just seems sloppy. There are brief moments, though, that are kind of cool, but for the complete picture, which matters to me when it comes to a Godspeed You Black Emperor album, it kind of misses the mark. It's just not the gut punch that I needed. I mean, listening to albums like this, or, like this, they have me on the edge of my seat constantly. This just lingers in limbo. However, Cliff's Gaze, on the other hand, has me on the edge of my seat from the word go and doesn't let up. It is awesome. It's gritty, it's harsh, but it also has these jazzy undertones, which gives us this weird, freakish human quality, but underneath all the drones and the noise. But once again, there is ironically a very sunny undertone to this. It sounds oddly hopeful at times. I don't know how to explain it, but by the end of this track sounds gorgeous, but not only that, but it sounds right. In a weird way, this comes off almost like a brave new beginning for the band. And I actually like the finale here as well. Our side has to win. We get a lot of interesting elements here. It's very warm and sunny, but we once again get the noisy drones here. It's cinematic. It's vast. And once again, in an odd twist, there is some hope in here. So no, this is not the harrowing, cinematic, dismal wasteland of a band that was putting out some of the most epic and cinematic and noisy and vast and over-the-top post-rock for years. Well thought out, too. That's not this band anymore. But I think this shows them taking things back to basics, reminding us who we are, and this could be an interesting start of something new. This is certainly not a bad album. I think it's decent. I think it's a decent Godspeed album. Trust me, I'd rather listen to this than any of the last two albums that they've done. I'm feeling like a decent to strong 7 on this album. I'm curious to see where they go from here, but let me know what you guys think down below. If you like the video, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know down below what you would like for me to chat about in the future. And until next time, have a great day, guys.